Hello to all the rugby league diehards and welcome to another episode of Six to Go. My name is Tom Canfell and it's great to have your company. As we head into today's episode, you know how it works. We will cover 6 topics related to the game or even their own career. My guest this week is Nate Myles. When Queensland went through their historical 8 in a row, Nate was one of the first picks every time. Playing 32 State of Origins for Queensland, I thought I'd get him on while he's in camp and now on the coaching staff. Hope you enjoy our chat. Here's Nate Myles. I'm joined by Nate Myles as the next guest of the Six to Go podcast, brought to you by Mint Sports. Nate, congratulations on the Origin Series win. How are you going?
Thank you for that. Yeah, we're going good. Yeah, we're going real good, thank you. We no complaints this side.
Well, I've got 6 topics to cover with you today, and I'll start with the lead up to the last game. I just want to go back to Game 2 for a second. Was there a moment in camp when you thought we were heading for a really special performance by the team in Game 2?
Yeah, look, there's probably a moment during the week leading into the the game at Suncorp that I probably had that thought, but I also had that thought at the same time as a thought of, have these boys gone and trained and performed on the training paddock too well, if that makes sense, too far out for the game? There was a couple of moments there where their sessions were so high frequency and so much energy that I was actually a little bit worried on how they were going to perform. But look, again, this group keeps challenging themselves and improving as a group of young men, and they came out and performed very well. And there were stages there where, they had to, dig deep. I think a few of our boys were quite visibly sort of under the weather in regards to the way they were feeling, but they definitely held on for each other.
I spoke to Josh Hannay the day of the last game, and he said that it was the perfect preparation for the game. Then you just echo that there. It was pretty seamless.
It was, mate. Yeah, it really was. And we're such a big, we emphasise the fact that our preparation's key. We just got a bit nervous. Actually, I'll take that back. I got nervous on just how good they were performing on the field. So, the preparation was close to seamless as it can get, and it's kind of intriguing to get that feeling of so much confidence in what they're doing that it could almost go wrong. It was a real moment for me that I liked. But I still feel like I'm playing some days. So when you're in the sheds and you're smelling the deep heat and you're hearing the boys talk, and you start to get that second sort of, hang on a sec. But they definitely do everything that they can and the right way possible during the week, these boys.
The build-up was interesting. You had quite a funny moment on NRL 360 being pestered about the fact that Queensland were favourites for the game. Whilst the odds of the game don't affect the team, what did you and the rest of the coaching staff do to create a sense of urgency? Because the fact of the matter is, you don't want to be going to Sydney for a decider when you've 1-0 up going to Suncorp.
Yes, that's right. There was a really crucial moment where I think our boys all realised how they were meant to take on the week. It wasn't a week about enjoying the situation as we were going back to Suncorp. It was a point where we all thought, well, they all thought they needed to really respect the team that was coming up to Suncorp, and they needed to respect the processes and the fans that we play for. Their families, they all knew they had to re-earn and grow together. They had to go back to the drawing board almost. And as soon as that moment happened, there was Bill's pretty thorough with the way he approaches all of our boys, and he definitely let them know that it won't come easy and they have to re-earn it. And when that come about, we've seen a big change in their training.
Queensland really invested in the youth this series, it felt like, when there was a decision to be made between a younger player and a veteran. The younger player generally got the nod. Do you feel that because Queensland have done that, and gotten successful results, it's catapulted the development of the broader Queensland squad?
Look, I think youth is prominent in our group, and that comes from being pretty fortunate with our roster. I don't think it's directly a tactic of Bill to just pick the youngest people. I think it was, or should I say the selectors, I think it was more of an approach of who's playing their best football, who's travelling the best health and fitness-wise. Not one player's come into this camp, in Queensland camp, under any injury cloud. There's been no talk of it this year, and I think that's something all of the media possibly overlook, is that, it'll create a scene, it'll create an article or a headline if you just say he's dropped someone and replaced them with someone younger. But at the end of the day, everyone that's come into camp, no matter their age, has had zero issue with their performance of training. They've had nothing really sort of to reduce in workload, because they're all fit and ready to roll. The fact that it has landed towards a younger bunch of players is again a blessing for us at the moment, because there have been years, mate, where we struggled to find players in each position that were young or fit and in good form. So at the moment, I kind of feel like we could pick a B side that would be very, very competitive against us. We're not beating around the bush with it. We understand we're very fortunate, but we've also gone through periods where we haven't been fortunate to have this position or in this situation.
I just want to talk about New South Wales for a moment. Their series this year reminds me of Queensland's 2021 series, where they picked guys who really were no chance to actually play. Therefore, there were very few training sessions where everyone was on the park. And Queensland at the time picked Ronaldo Muatalo, who wasn't even eligible. And the results clearly showed on the field. And they picked Cam Murray, who clearly on game day wasn't 100%. And Latrell, who really wasn't a hope in Hades of ever playing. It's something they've been criticised for. Is that something you guys were conscious of? And you sort of spoke about this just before. We saw Selwyn Cobbo pull out a game 2 well before team selections were even out, even though he was probably 50-50 to play. Did you guys take the approach of, if you're not 100%, you're not in?
I can't say we took that approach, but looking back now, the team that was that they wanted to select, I have a feeling they were reminded of health and fitness and the ability to perform at the highest level training and then also playing. Ronaldo Muatalo was a bit of a different situation. There was, I think, days within the fact that he was eligible, which again is just a crock of shit. What's the point of worrying about days or months, even years between allowing someone to experience or fulfill their dreams, you know what I mean? These guys are athletes, they're the best at what they do. You go and tell a builder or a plumber he's got to be lucky to work for 10 years and he's got to go find and do something else, you're going to let him do whatever he wants to do, really. So if he's the best builder, you're going to let him build whatever house he wants, right? So if he was the best to be on a Queensland team and on the wing, then, I think it was petty that they didn't allow him to do it. But anyway, we are again fortunate with the fact that we have these players ready to roll. And like I said, I think it's organically come to the top. It's risen that all of our guys have come into camp and no one has wanted to take a backward step. They've all wanted to participate and train hard.
What's the motivation in a game 3 like? What is it for you guys? Up 2-0. Is there a sense of unity that the job isn't done yet?
Don't know that sense of unity, but there's definitely an acknowledgement to the situation that we're in, and we'd be silly to not mention it because it's there. Very easy to do, what's pretty organic for human beings to get complacent when they've already got something or done something, is to ease off. So, I don't care if we spoke about about it on the first day, it was to remind us that that's our objective, is to overcome that and perform well. And again, I put all respect towards New South Wales. They're going to have a team again with nothing to lose, and they're the teams you've got to be most cautious with, because they have the ability to upstage you and upstage you quite easily. So, our boys, if they're not on, they're going to be in some strife.
It's a pretty star-studded lineup in the Queensland coaching ranks. How have you found working with these guys from a coaching perspective now, when you played with them for such a long time?
Extraordinary. In all honesty, mate, if I had to be, 100% honest with you, I always knew that Jonathan, Bill, and probably especially Smithy have always had that coaching format. The way they present themselves, their ability to communicate, the awareness of the game. These guys are religiously watching not just games, but pre-cut vision of athletes in each team and each position and each side. They study this game, and when I played alongside them, Josh Hannay included, I could see a little bit of it, a lot more in someone like Smithy. But now, like, Josh Hannay's incredibly good at what he does. Like, I'm blown away by the fact that he hasn't been mentioned more in all of the coaching fiasco, which is probably a blessing to him. Being that some of these situations are just getting a little bit sloppy and a little bit sort of tacky, the way that they're going about doing some of their, recruitment or treatment of players, and players wanting to leave, and coaches being just tossed out like it's nothing, and then everyone thinking it's all right. Like, it's going back to your question. It's amazing to see these guys still want to impress. They still want to perform, not as rugby league players, but as rugby league coaches, and make their love for the game and for Queensland especially is just amazing. But without doubt, I know your mates with Joshy Hannay, mate. His transformation, his journey from playing to his coaching stance now is just, mate, one that I never thought I would see. And he's a superior coach and communicator with the athletes.
Nate, you were a player who thrived at Origin and had an incredible amount of both personal and team success at that level. Who do you look at in this current Queensland team as being the guy going forward that the team can look to?
Well, I definitely know Daly's been the man for the last 4 years. What he's done on the field and with the team he's had over the last couple of years has just been extraordinary. And you only have to look as far back as his last game to see some of the efforts he put in and how that changed the game, but also changed the way his team were performing. He literally turned it. I would say Daly, but I also like, I think I would safely say that Benny Hunt is someone who's a heartbeat of this team, along with Daly. But I'll probably lean a little bit more towards someone like Harry Grant. He's fantastic with his footballing expertise, his knowledge. Very, very switched on when he's on the training paddock and on the field. And I think that, touching wood, actually, it's kind of difficult to even exclude anyone else because they're all doing really well. And I think that Queensland should be made well aware that they are in a position to have some extremely, extremely dominant rugby league players in their side over the next couple of years.
Was there anyone who wasn't selected this series that you can still see being a big part of Queensland going forward?
Mate, Tommy Gilbert, without doubt. Tommy Dearden. I love, Tommy Flegler. Give me some more Toms and I'll tell you who's good, Selwyn, definitely. I think Selwyn, he's gonna understand the organics of what it is to sort of be there week in, week out and perform at the highest level. And once Sal does that, mate, good luck to the rest of the competition, especially the winger across from him. There's so many guys that have been part of this. Jai Arrow's another one. These guys they're good, they're young, and then they love this arena. So, yeah, anyone who's involved in this squad at the moment is in the future.
The 60 Go podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Mint Sports, and why not check out their podcast if you're looking for a little bit of humour to add to your sport. And this week on the Maybe Daily podcast, they lined up some of the panellists from 360. They didn't miss Buzz.
Can we talk about the heads on NRL 360?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's Gout 360. Gout comes a lot. But who's the old bloke who can't sit straight with spina bifida? Who the hell's that guy? Always on an angle.
Buzz Rothfield. He's got posture like a horseshoe, hasn't he?
Oh.
He's like an egg in a frying pan that you're not going to serve up. Just slide it off the edge of the pan and start again.
He's an imbecile.
He's all over the shop. For more nonsensical ramblings loosely based on sport, tune into Mint Sports Maybe Daily every week. Maybe.
I'd just like to talk to you about one of your former teams, and that's the Titans. What's your thoughts on them bringing in Des Hasler?
Yeah, obviously they're looking for a little bit of a shift in culture change there, and when I say that, I mean they want to bring a winning attitude in. I think they'll probably lean back to one of their senior players being Kieran Foran and the relationship he has with Desi, and I'm not sure Justin Holbrook was going that bad. I don't think he was. I think that they've managed to have a couple of really good games this year and a few upset wins, and there are times where you sort of think, like where is their football going? But I think that Justin Holbrook was extremely hard done by, and I know he was liked by a lot of the players. With Desi, mate, I've never been under Desi, and I don't have much opinion really on Desi, but I think they're just looking for a positive change, for a winning mindset. And Desi's a winner, mate. He's won competitions, and he's gone to teams and really had an instant effect. So maybe they're looking for that.
Lots of rumours that they're in the Ben Hunt sweepstakes. You've spent a lot of time with Ben now. Do you think he's the missing ingredient to potentially put them into the top 4 discussion?
Into top 4? I think Benny would have to be doing a lot of work every game to be doing that, and I'm not sure if that would be it. You also got to think too. They got a young halfback there now who's their kicker, and unless Benny goes into number 9, which I'm pretty sure he would be a little bit hesitant doing week in, week out. I don't know. I think they'd be silly not to have a real solid crack at him. It's probably more about establishing, what you can bring with Benny and to complement already some of their existing stars. But they probably have to look at, eliminating any rumours of their two best forwards leaving, and Big Moe's up there as well, and he's in the best form of his career. So they've got a couple of boys there that can really play some good football. The addition of Ben Hunt will definitely be a positive, mate. He's a really, really good bloke. People love playing football alongside him, and he's a winner. He plays for keeps. I don't think he would be the top 4, positional player. I think he would need a lot more people around him playing a bit better.
You were at the Titans. It's fair to say I think that they haven't had as much success since coming back into the competition that they would have liked. Is there anything you can pinpoint as to why that is?
Oh, well, everyone who's never been to the Gold Coast or in the Gold Coast Titans will tell you it's the glitter strip, it's the clubbing, it's all that stuff. But it's not, mate. It's just, I just don't think the formula's been pushed, pushed and changed enough to get the right outcome. I love my time at the Titans, and they taught me so much. I had 4 years there, and I went there one person and left another. I really enjoyed my time there, and my comment before about Desi and changing their winning attitude. I feel like that was something that was a little bit around when I was there. Was a lot of the talk was about competing and not so much winning. And when you change that mindset and that that language that you use in your terminology and in your games, it does make a big difference. And for sure, I'm a big fan of the Titans. Like I said, I loved it there, and 4 very, very fun years. But I'm not sure what the formula is to get them, winning a few more games. Mate, it's a great place. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to live. And we trained in some funny situations there. So I still think they're getting established again after a few different issues.
What's the craziest place you trained at?
Well, we were in TSS. Then we got kicked out of there, and we ended up in sheds out the back of Burleigh Bears. It was a fucking shit show, I tell you. They did well to keep going.
Nate, I just
want... like I said, we're in the centre of excellence, and then, all of just so many things happen. And, mate, and if I'm totally honest, I love Michael Searle, and I fucking love John Cartwright. They were just two people that loved their footy. They loved their players. They just loved, getting around them. And when they left, when them two were not there anymore, it was a different place. It was very different. I don't know what the stats are, pre-John Cartwright and pre-Michael Searle to post, but I know the vibe as a player, it did change dramatically.
Nate, I just want to move on to Reece Walsh. He's been in the news recently. He's had a phenomenal year and a great Origin series. He won't take part in Game 3, obviously. But how have you found getting to know him?
Mate, phenomenal. Mate, what a bunch of energy. He's a good young kid, mate, and a genuine superstar of the game. And I'm happy to see him, have his footy complemented. Actually, I would have loved to have seen him play the way he is playing this year at the Warriors, who are now, as a team, really taking some strides forward. The Warriors are probably my favourite team of the competition at the moment, purely because of their, ability to. They just look like they're playing with smiles on their faces. It's like they're in love with rugby league, and it's showing in their football. So Reece's been, he's a little bit of a. Maybe a little bit sort of too hot to handle at some stage in regards to his energy. He's just a passionate young kid who plays hard and fast, mate. Super energetic, amazing to have in your team. To see the way he approaches his first run of his first Origin was one of the pivotal moments, I think, for him learning. And mate, he's dead set been like a leech, trying to get as much information as he can out of Bill. So look, you have to understand where your do's and don'ts lie when you're playing as a rugby league player, and I think Reece is finding that out, mate. But he's going to be a good player for a long time, and I look forward to watching him. It's a shame he can't front up against the New South Wales crowd after last game. I reckon he would have put more bums on the seat.
He is really young, and this might be the best thing for him. And last week he was involved in one of the longest judiciaries you could possibly imagine. I thought at the end they were actually going to give him time served. He was there that long. But a few things happened throughout the judiciary that were pretty funny. Do you have any judiciary stories yourself that you can share?
Nah, mate, I didn't tend to fight any of my issues. They were all pretty pretty evident.
Can you talk to me about Gallen? He obviously won't take part in the series either, but do you think he'll be coming back to play for Queensland in the coming seasons?
Mate, for sure. I think KP will be back 100%. He's an exceptional athlete, phenomenally gifted rugby league player, and he's still super young. I think that this year's been, a little bit of a sort of detour on where KP would like to have seen his year go. There's been so much around, his head knocks and his origin and all that sort of stuff. But, mate, the best thing about KP is seeing him come back to the Knights and play some amazing football, which he has done after games where he doesn't look like he's, enjoying his football. And like, I mentioned about the Warriors. You watch them boys play and they've got smiles on their faces. And KP's the same. It's rugby league. It's a game. It's got to be fun. If you're not having fun and you're winning, it's still difficult to keep participating in such a high level of this sport. And people might listen to this and say, well, you're fucking getting paid this and you're getting it. Mate, well, it still doesn't matter. These guys are, they're people. They want to be healthy. They want to be fit. They want to have fun. They want to enjoy themselves. And I think that's a big part of their football. Sean Johnson is an example to me. I think that he's playing his football like he's a kid in the rain, in the backyard with his best friends and his family. That's the style of footy that is really hard to defend against and play, because when KP's at his best, when Walsh is at his best, they're happy, smiling, and they're just moving, mate. Front row is nightmare.
Is there room for both Reece and Gallen in the same team?
Yeah, I listened to someone sort of touch base on this and try their best to analytically criticise the selection and non-selection of Reece and KP. Look, I suppose, if I'm totally honest, the way you would fit them in is to have one on the bench, obviously.
Yep.
Or one at 5'8", which would obviously be KP at the moment. But, I don't think KP's attacks his issue. It's right now, his defence is what has given him the most drama this year, whether it be head knocks or missed tackles and all that sort of stuff. So, if you were to start Reece and put KP on the bench, he's probably going to end up in dummy half. So he'll be in at hooker. And what does hooker do most of the game?
Tackle.
So, what's going to be the point of that? If that's the part that he's probably, I won't say vulnerable, but, more susceptible to having issues with. So that's going to be something that might be a hiccup later. And then if you want to work it again, you've got to put Reece Walsh somewhere else and out of position. And what's the point of that again? It's a difficult one, but I think New South Wales have had the issue where we've always had someone who could sort of scoot out to centre and cover a few injuries. Benny Hunt ended up there, and you'd probably just rather roll with someone like Benny Hunt in that position where he can do 7, 9, lock, centre. You just got a little bit more certainty and clarity around your positions there.
Nate, finally, just a couple of left field questions. Out of everyone who's ever been punched by Paul Gallen, you probably took it the best. Were you ever offered to fight him?
Mate, I've never been offered by Paul to fight, so I don't know if it's true. But of course, people always say, "Oh yeah, you could do it. You can. I'll organise this, organise that." It's been happening for over 10 years, so I don't really feel like getting the shit punched out of me again. I'll keep saying no.
Oh, fair enough. And the last one, we mentioned KP's struggles with head knocks a little bit earlier. You played in a very transitional period of the game, from a time when head knocks weren't really talked about to at the end of your career, it's starting to become a prevalent issue in the game. First of all, just on yourself, you played for a long time. Have you had any post-career effects from concussion?
No, I don't think so. Mate, it's a physical game. It's a physical sport. I still think the NRL's confused about where they stand with the game, because you can't say anything to a referee. You get suspended for 3 weeks, but you can reach over the top of a group and king hit someone and play the next game. So, I still think the game's confused. They are doing their best in regards to, eliminating or eradicating the issue with, repeated head knocks. where I stand with it, mate, it was just how we were brought up. You know, if you could stand up, you could catch the ball. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, or I don't know, when it'll all come out. But yeah, if I have to answer it correctly, I still wouldn't change it, mate. It was the path I chose. It wasn't anyone else's issue. It was mine. I wanted to play rugby league. It was in my family for years, and it'll still be in my family for years. I probably love the game more now than when I was playing, mate. So that's where I stand with it. I wish all health and the best safety to everyone that still plays the game. But mate, what happens to me, I got fucking no idea. But there'll be more issues coming. I know that.
Nate, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the 60 Go podcast this afternoon. I really appreciate your time. Good luck with Game 3, and you're welcome back anytime.
Too easy, mate.
A big thanks to Nate for coming on the show today. He's one of the most iconic State of Origin players of the modern era, so to have him on this time of year is fantastic. By the way, if you want to get in contact with me, you can on Twitter at @TCanfell. My name is Tom Canfell. Thanks so much for listening. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Until next time, this has been the 60 Go podcast, brought to you by our friends at